Welcome back, dreamers. As the world outside quiets down and the gentle hum of the present fades, we invite you to embark on a journey through the tapestry of time back to an era known as the Middle Ages. You find yourself standing on the precipice of a period often painted with broad strokes of hardship and stark realities. A world of formidable castles, powerful kings, and the ever-present shadow of famine and plague. Yet even amidst constant drudgery and relentless hardships, the indomitable human spirit found ingenious ways to infuse life with moments of joy, revelry, and brief cherished escapes. Allow your mind to softly drift as we journey back to a time profoundly different from our own, to discover just how precious these peculiar moments of fun truly were. You are born into a world defined by its unwavering structure, a rigid framework that dictates almost every aspect of your existence, from the food you eat to the very air you're allowed to breathe. This is feudal society, and your place within it is meticulously carved out from the moment of your first cry. Imagine standing on a vast rolling landscape, a tapestry of green fields and dark forests, and knowing with absolute certainty where every single person on that land belongs. You're either part of the small noble class, perhaps one of the lords or ladies, or a knight holding sway over vast tracts of land and the people who toil upon it. And for approximately 90% of you, this is your reality. You are a serf, a virtual slave bound to the very soil beneath your feet, your destiny intertwined with its yield. There's no ambiguity here. No self-discovery about your career path. Your role is set, inherited, and unyielding. This stark class divide is not just an economic reality. It's the fundamental operating system of your life, profoundly influencing the kind of fun you're permitted to experience. As a noble, you possess the wealth, the power, and most critically the leisure time to indulge in extravagant pastimes. Think dazzling tournaments, intricate falconry, and lavish hunts. These aren't just hobbies. They're carefully orchestrated displays of status, power, and privilege. For you, the peasant, such luxuries are as distant as the moon. Your entertainment is born from necessity, community, and brief hard-won respite from back-breaking labour. While the stories of figures like William Marshall, a man who against all odds rose from humble origins to become one of the most powerful and respected men in the realm, might spark a fleeting hope, you quickly learn that such trajectories are vanishingly rare. Marshall's ascent is the exception that proves the rule a flicker of lightning in an otherwise unbroken sky of predetermined fates. Your birth for the vast majority dictates your destiny, sealing your access to comfort influence, and indeed any form of genuine amusement. Social mobility for you is less a ladder and more a mythical beast. Even in moments of what might seem like leisure, such as a nobleman's hunting party, you observe this rigid social order replicated in miniature. If you are a commoner, fortunate or perhaps unfortunate enough to be part of such an expedition, you are a mere cog in a meticulously structured machine. The lord astride his grand destrier leads the charge surrounded by his specialised huntsmen, the prickers, the beaters, each with distinct roles often identified by specific livery or clothing. Every shout, every gesture reinforces the hierarchy. You understand your place, your duties, and the severe consequences of any deviation. This isn't just about catching game. It's a living tableau, a constant performance of power control, and the unyielding social strata that govern your very existence. And it is within this tightly controlled, deeply stratified world that people somehow found moments of profound, sometimes peculiar joy. You feel the coarse earth beneath your calloused hands, the sun warming your back as you stoop over the furrowed fields. This agrarian foundation isn't merely the basis of the economy. It is the very pulse of your life, beating in time with the seasons. You learn quickly that the earth is not just dirt. It's your fickle landlord, your demanding boss, and your only real hope for supper. The scent of damp earth after a spring rain, the golden dust of harvest season clinging to your clothes, these are the markers of your existence. Your entire community's survival hinges on the benevolence of the harvest-making agricultural cycles, not just a matter of labour, but of life and death. It dictates everything, especially your scarce moments of leisure. No successful harvest means no surplus, no communal feasting, no energy for the vibrant festivals that offer such crucial fleeting relief. Yet beyond your fields, the world occasionally opens up in a dizzying display of commerce and chaos at the great trade fairs. Imagine leaving the quiet rhythms of your village for a place like the Stourbridge Fair, a bustling temporary city where the very air hums with 1,000 different sounds. You step into a vibrant tapestry woven from the cries of merchants hawking their wares, the braying of livestock, the chatter of foreign tongues, and the unfamiliar tempting aromas of exotic spices and roasted meats. Imagine it as the medieval equivalent of a bustling convention centre, but with a far greater presence of livestock, fewer sanitation regulations, and a considerably higher chance of encountering a less than scrupulous merchant. These fairs are vital commercial hubs attracting traders from across Europe and beyond, yet for you, they're also major social gatherings, a rare opportunity to exchange news, witness strange spectacles, and momentarily forget the endless toil. You see the merchant from afar, his face etched with the weariness of travel, but his eyes alight with the prospect of a good deal haggling fiercely over bolts of cloth or bags of grain. The stark contrast in lives is never more apparent than when you consider the cost of luxury, particularly the kind of extravagant entertainment enjoyed by the nobility. While your most fervent wish might be for a warm loaf of fresh bread, your lord is casually dropping the equivalent of your entire village's annual income on a single prized gerfalcon. This magnificent bird, capable of reaching speeds of 130 meps, is not merely a hunting tool, it is the Lamborghini of the falconry world, an ultimate status symbol highly coveted and worth a small castle. And the lavish noble feasts, the generous use of imported spices, saffron, ginger, nutmeg, sourced from distant lands at immense cost, isn't just about flavour. It's a blatant opulent declaration of wealth, a demonstration that the host has access to global trade networks and resources far beyond your comprehension. The exotic aroma of these spices, so foreign to your usual diet of simple grains and root vegetables, hangs heavy in the air around their tables, a fragrant reminder of the vast economic chasm between you and them. For a night, however, these extravagant displays, particularly the tournaments, offer a dangerous but potentially lucrative path. While you may view them as grand spectacles of chivalry for a successful night tournament, victories mean substantial ransom money from captured opponents and a significant share of the prize purse. This isn't just sport for them. It's a high-stakes profession offering a crucial economic incentive for participating in these often deadly contests. A good showing can significantly boost a knight's income, allowing him to afford better armour, more horses, and higher standing, another albeit rare and perilous form of social mobility within the noble sphere. Even the natural world, it seems, is subject to the king's economic decree. You learn of the harsh realities of royal control over resources exemplified by the crown's absolute ownership of all swans. To merely possess one, let alone poach one, carries severe penalties. This isn't just about a bird. It illustrates the monarch's pervasive control extending even to the wild creatures that symbolize beauty and status. It underscores the profound truth that in this world, little, if anything, is truly free or beyond the grasp of power. This immense top-down control over resources from the land you farm to the very wildlife exists against an even more powerful unpredictable backdrop, nature's relentless fury itself. As if the rigid social structure and the demanding agrarian economy weren't enough, you live under the constant heavy pall of universal threats. You understand perhaps more intimately than any modern person could the chilling reality of an ever-present spectre of disease, famine, and violence. This isn't abstract fear. It's the cold knot in your stomach when the rains fail, the cough that rattles through your neighbour's hut, or the distant trumpet blast signalling another skirmish. The Middle Ages, as you experience it, is characterized by a pervasive sense of precarity. You've seen plagues sweep through your village indiscriminately, claiming millions of lives, leaving gaping holes in the fabric of your community. Famine is not a distant news report. It's the gnawing hunger that defines weeks, the desperate search for roots and berries, the agonizing choice between feeding your child or your elderly parent. Every breath you take feels like a small victory against overwhelming odds. What's striking and perhaps terrifying from your modern perspective is the utter absence of widespread organised relief efforts. There are no government agencies, no global charities, no emergency response teams. When a crisis hits, be it a blight on the crops or a sudden outbreak of fever, your community largely faces it alone. You rely on the strength of your neighbours, the meagre stores of the local lord if he's benevolent, and the often stretched resources of the church. This self-reliance, born of necessity, makes communal festivals and shared amusements all the more vital. They aren't just for entertainment. They are acts of collective resilience crucial for maintaining morale, for reminding everyone that even in the face of despair, life continues, and joy, however brief, can be found. A shared laugh, a communal dance, a whispered story. These become powerful antidotes to the pervasive despair. Beyond the major disasters, daily life itself is fraught with more immediate mundane dangers. You understand that fires posed a constant danger in your crowded village, where thatched roofs and wooden structures can turn a single spark into an inferno in moments. The narrow winding streets of any town you visit are a labyrinth of potential hazards, with open fires, roaming animals, and the ever-present threat of accidental tragedy. And warfare was grim and all too common. It's not just the grand battles fought by knights. It's the roving bands of brigands, the local lord's petty skirmishes with a rival, the constant uncertainty of trade routes. You might wake one morning to find a neighbouring village ransacked, its inhabitants scattered, its fields burned. This underlying sense of precarity, this constant awareness of how swiftly life can be upended or extinguished, profoundly shapes your appreciation for any temporary diversion. A moment of laughter, a shared drink, a thrilling story. These aren't just pastimes. They are precious, vital validations of life itself, cherished precisely because they are so fragile and hard-won against such an unyielding backdrop. It's into this stark reality, this tapestry of hardship and fleeting joy, that you now step eager to understand how the human spirit, resilient and indomitable, managed to find its strange forms of fun. You step into the vibrant, often peculiar world of medieval society where fun isn't merely an escape, it's a vital thread woven through the daily fabric of existence. Despite the pervasive hardships that define your era, this society hums with an array of cultural practices and social interactions that offer captivating diversions for everyone from the lowliest peasant to the highest noble. It's a testament to the human need for connection and mirth, even when life is, to put it mildly, a constant uphill battle. Communication itself is a minefield of social etiquette, particularly when navigating the treacherous waters of medieval conversation. You learn quickly that verbal and non-verbal cues are strictly governed by social rank. Expressing an unapproved opinion even innocently could have dire consequences. Imagine trying to engage in casual banter when a misplaced word could lead to anything from social ostracism to a swift visit from the Lord's guards. This forces you into subtle forms of interaction, a delicate dance of hints and implications even during moments intended for leisure. You choose your words with meticulous care, constantly aware of your audience and their standing. Yet there are exceptions, fascinating cracks in the rigid edifice. Observe the jester clad in motley, a riot of mismatched colours. He is a unique figure, a sanctioned speaker of truth to power. With his ribald jokes, clever puns and often acrobatic feats, He offers sly criticism of the social order all under the guise of foolery. You watch him perhaps with a nervous chuckle as he mocks a powerful noble saying aloud what everyone else only dares to whisper in the darkest corners of the tavern. He is a crucial steam valve for societal tensions, a permitted outlet for dissent that coming from anyone else would be met with swift and brutal reprisal. You appreciate his calculated impudence, knowing that his existence is a delicate balance of wit, and knowing precisely how far to push the boundaries without losing his head quite literally. For the nobility, however, the expression of feelings, particularly romantic ones, often takes a more refined, if still performative form, courtly love poetry. You might listen to a troubadour, his voice carrying through a grand hall, as he sings ballads that compare a noble patroness to a goddess. He's not just composing verses, he's performing subtly, vying for fame and royal favour. These poems shape the ideals of romance and chivalry, creating a romanticised vision of love that stands in stark contrast to the pragmatic alliances that usually define noble marriages. It's a form of refined entertainment, yes, but also a carefully constructed social performance, where the art of flattery and idealised adoration is finely honed. Meanwhile, for you and your fellow commoners, the tavern serves as your communal forum, a lively hub where news is exchanged, songs are sung and stories are swapped. The air in these cramped, dimly lit rooms is thick with the smell of ale and the murmur of conversation. You engage in good-natured ribbing and occasional oaths, building a vital sense of camaraderie. This is where the oral traditions thrive, where local legends are born and passed down. It's an unvarnished social scene, rough around the edges, but undeniably real, a true expression of shared community. But even among the nobility where subtle communication is usually preferred, tensions can escalate dramatically. You recall tales of tournaments where heated exchanges quickly devolved. Imagine Prince Edward the Thun, renowned for his temper, physically assaulting the Count of Cowlons after a perceived slight during a joust. This isn't just a squabble. It's a stark demonstration of how quickly personal honour can affect diplomatic relations, showing that even in moments of competitive entertainment, the stakes are profoundly high. Yet paradoxically, acts of symbolic chivalry also play a crucial role in maintaining social order and individual reputation. You hear stories of the knights like William Marshall, whose legend is burnished not just by victory but by honour. He dutifully takes a dave in a joust not out of weakness but to protect a king's kinsman's dignity. This act, a calculated display of deference and respect, reinforces the era's codes of conduct, elevating Marshall's status even further. It's a delicate balance, this social stage, where every word, every gesture, and even every fall holds profound meaning. You stand at the edge of a vast field, the ground still soft from morning dew, and the atmosphere around you hums with an almost palpable energy. This is not just any gathering. You're witnessing one of the grandest and most iconic forms of medieval entertainment, the tournament. Wherever and whenever they occur, these spectacles draw huge crowds, eager for a glimpse of martial prowess and chivalric drama. Your eyes take in the scene, colourful tents and pavilions dot the landscape, each emblazoned with the heraldry of noble houses. Brightly coloured flags snap briskly in the breeze, a vibrant tapestry against the sky. The sheer pageantry, the vibrant hues, the distant sound of trumpets. It's a sensory feast designed to stir the blood and ignite the imagination. The air thick with eager expectation is not an exaggeration. It's a shared breath held by hundreds, perhaps thousands of onlookers, from the humblest commoner to the most powerful lord. The evolution of these tournaments is a fascinating journey from outright chaos to structured spectacle. You learn that early tournaments were essentially mock battles free-for-alls, where dozens, even hundreds of armed knights would clash in a sprawling, often brutal melee. These engagements frequently devolved into very real and dangerous brawls, more akin to small-scale warfare than sport, with serious injuries, and even deaths being common. It was a perilous, often deadly form of entertainment. But by the late 12th century you observe a shift. The events become more organised, more refined, and the individual joust emerges as the thrilling main event. Two knights thundering towards each other on horseback, lances couched armour gleaming. This is the moment everyone holds their breath for the epitome of chivalric drama. And in this arena, certain figures rise to become the medieval celebrities of their age. You hear the name William Marshall whispered with reverence, described as the Michael Jordan of the medieval Tory world. He's a one-man spectacle, his combat prowess legendary. You watch him perhaps from a distance, recognising the skill and courage it takes to repeatedly face such danger. His victories aren't just personal triumphs. They're a means to climb the social ladder, to gain renown, and ultimately to accumulate power and wealth. For Marshall, the tournament isn't just a game, it's his profession, his path to immortality. You see how his success inspires awe and a kind of hero worship, an almost modern fascination with a celebrity athlete. The nobility, never content with mere competition, often infuse these tournaments with theatrical themes, frequently evoking Arthurian nostalgia. Imagine King René of Anjou, known for his artistic flair staging whimsical events like the Pad Bear or Shepherdess's Dance. Here, knights, instead of their usual battle regalia, might appear in pastoral attire, competing in jousts alongside sheep-herding trials. It's an absurd, delightful inversion of expectations, blending the rustic with the martial. Later you hear of King Edward III's round tables at Windsor, explicitly designed to evoke the legendary court of King Arthur. These weren't just tournaments. They were elaborate themed pageantry complete with specific costumes, mock sieges, and a deliberate attempt to recreate a romanticised golden age of chivalry. You realise that for these nobles the line between entertainment and grand theatrical performance is wonderfully blurred. Of course, beneath the pageantry the risks are always present, always profound. You know that serious injuries are common. Marshall himself, despite his legendary skill, was pierced clean through the thigh by a lance on one occasion. Yet for many the danger is part of the allure, and the potential rewards are immense. Ransom money, a champion's share of the prize purse, valuable war horses and armour, and the favour of a delighted noble patron. For ambitious knights, these are risks worth taking. And for you, the spectator, the excitement is so intense that it spills over into tangible souvenirs. You watch as onlookers at Marshall's tournaments even dash out to scoop up pieces of his shattered lances as souvenirs, much like fans today might catch a baseball. It's a testament to the intense hero worship and the profound impact these events have on the collective imagination. These tournaments aren't just a day's diversion, they're a shared experience, a moment of glory, and a tangible connection to the heroic ideals of your age. From the thundering spectacle of the tournament you now shift your gaze to a more refined yet equally demanding art falconry. This is not a sport for the masses, but rather an ancient and noble art, deeply embedded in the elite culture of your time. You quickly understand that it requires a special breed of master and immense patience. The training of these magnificent birds is a meticulous, almost spiritual process, involving specialised hoods to calm them, jesses to control them, and a whole lot of patience. Far more patience you suspect than most humans possess. You watch as a falconer, his face weathered by sun, and wind carefully coaxes a wild hawk, slowly, gently transforming a creature of raw instinct into a loyal, lethal hunting partner. It's a testament to dedication, a bond forged through countless hours of quiet, focused work. For the nobility, falconry is the ultimate status symbol. You immediately recognise that the bigger and rarer your bird, the more impressive you were. A gerfalcon, for instance, is not just a bird, it's a living, breathing testament to your wealth, your power, and your connoisseurship. You understand why it's considered the Lamborghini of the falconry world. a highly coveted possession worth a small fortune. This isn't just about a successful hunt. It's a public declaration, a flaunting of resources, and a subtle assertion of dominance. To possess such a creature is to announce your standing to the world without uttering a single word. Indeed, you learn that this ancient tradition stretches far beyond Europe. Falconry is a global tradition, deeply rooted across the Middle East. You hear tales of Arab caliphs and Persian emperors maintaining elaborate mews filled with hundreds of birds, vast collections that dwarf even the grandest European setups. These are not merely royal pets. They are instruments of diplomacy, symbols of empire, and living extensions of a ruler's power. European monarchs like Frederick II are so utterly obsessed with the art that he writes entire books on the subject, and quite famously even brings his falcons to church, a testament to a devotion bordering on the sacrilege. You also hear whispered legends of Kublai Khan, the Mongol emperor, who on his vast campaigns utilises falcons not just for sport, but as a feathered air force on the battlefield, their keen eyes and swift movements used for scouting and communication. It's a staggering thought, the practical application of what you've only seen as a display of aristocratic leisure. Among the European nobility, few embody the passion for falconry as vividly as Mary of Burgundy. You imagine her a passionate devotee of hawking, with a particular fondness for merlins, smaller, swifter birds perfect for open country. Her enthusiasm is so great that she has a custom saddle made with a special perch, specifically for her falcon, allowing her to ride with her beloved bird constantly by her side. She's not merely participating in a noble pastime. She's living it, embodying a vibrant, free-spirited noblewoman who finds joy and expression in this ancient art. You sense her thrill, her fierce independence, a refreshing contrast to the often constrained lives of noblewomen. And then comes the moment, the true heart of falconry, the thrill of the stoop. You watch as a trained falcon is let loose, swooping through the air like a feathery guided missile. It climbs circles, then plunges at speeds over 200 maximums, in a breathtaking dive, a stoop to strike its prey. It is a sight that would make even the most jaded noble's heart skip a beat. The raw power, the precision, the sheer speed. It's a visceral, awe-inspiring display of nature harnessed by human skill. You feel a sudden surge of adrenaline, understanding the profound satisfaction this moment brings to both hunter and bird. It is a potent blend of beauty, danger, and primal connection, making falconry far more than just a pastime. It's a living, breathing art form deeply intertwined with the landscape and the very nature of aristocratic existence. Building on the focused artistry of falconry, you realise that the broader practice of hunting among the nobility is far more than mere sport. It is an elaborate ritual imbued with deep symbolic meaning. For the lord or knight, it's a powerful demonstration of masculine prowess, a physical and strategic challenge that affirms his strength and leadership. But it's also something more profound, a metaphor for the triumph of order over the chaos of the natural world. In an era where the wilderness still encroaches on civilization, where untamed forests teem with unseen dangers, the act of a coordinated hunt asserts human dominion, bringing structure and control to a chaotic landscape. You see it not just as a chase, but as a reenactment of humanity's ongoing struggle against the wild, a reaffirmation of their rightful place at the top of the food chain, a crucial aspect of their perceived societal role. These hunts are meticulously orchestrated wildness, highly organised affairs that demand skill coordination and a vast retinue. You hear the deep baying of keen-nosed hounds straining at their leashes, their excitement palpable, their instincts finely honed. Liveried pages scurry to and fro, carrying messages, preparing equipment, ensuring every detail is in place. Then comes the thunder of galloping hooves, as the entire party, a vibrant cavalcade, thunders through the forest. The signal is given by a clear, piercing bugle blast, a sound that echoes through the trees and sends shivers down your spine. You envision Mary of Burgundy as described earlier leading the charge, her cheeks flushed with excitement, her spirit alive with the thrill of the chase. This isn't a solitary pursuit, it's a grand collaborative spectacle, a moving tableau of power and control against the backdrop of the untamed woods. And the game they pursue is far from the gentle creatures of pastoral poems. Nobles pursue savage wild boar, fierce bears, and swift deadly stags. This is a hardcore, often dangerous affair, a genuine test of courage and skill. You quickly dispel any romanticised notions gleaned from tapestries depicting fluffy snow-white unicorn hunts. This is real, raw, and visceral. A charging boar with razor-sharp tusks, a cornered bear. These are formidable adversaries that demand every ounce of a hunter's strength, agility, and nerve. You understand that serious injury, even death, is a very real possibility, adding an undeniable edge of thrill and danger to the entire event. The climax of the hunt. The ritual of personally killing the stag is deeply significant. It's not just about ending the animal's life, it's a symbolic act, a moment of profound connection to the natural cycle of life and death, and a final assertion of the hunter's dominance. This is followed by a solemn ceremony known as the cure, where the deer's entrails and organs were spread out on its hide and reverently offered to the hounds as a reward for their tireless efforts. This grisly but vital ritual acknowledges the hound's crucial role and in a way honours the fallen beast, reaffirming the natural order of the hunt. It's a moment of both practical necessity and ancient tradition, tying the hunters to their primal instincts and their faithful companions. After such a long, physically demanding day, the return to camp is a welcome relief, and the feasting that follows is just as elaborate as the hunt itself. You imagine the hunters returning to colourful silk tents, pitched amidst the quiet of the forest, the air now filled with the inviting aromas of cooking. Servants move swiftly, bringing goblets and trenchers piled high with roasted meats. As the aristocratic hunters relax their bellies full, they regale each other with tales of their bravest kills, likely becoming more embellished than others after a few cups of wine. These post-hunt celebrations aren't just about sustenance. They're about camaraderie, about reliving the thrill, and about reinforcing their shared identity as powerful, skilled hunters. They are moments of boisterous enjoyment earned through the sweat and danger of the chase, preparing you for the quieter yet equally strange forms of medieval merriment. As the seasons turn and the calendar pages marked by the church unfold, you encounter another layer of medieval life, where fun and belief are inextricably intertwined, the spiritual frameworks and pervasive superstitions that shape collective merriment. You find yourself drawn into the boisterous, almost anarchic energy of Carnival, that indulgent period preceding the austere fasting of Lent. It's a fascinating blend you observe of ancient pagan festivals fused with a distinctly Christian flavour, yet it somehow retains an air of mischief and mystery. During Carnival, the normal order of society was turned on its head, a deliberate sanctioned inversion of hierarchy, where the rules of everyday life are temporarily suspended. Imagine the sheer exhilaration, the intoxicating sense of freedom, as the strictures that bind your daily existence momentarily loosen their grip. The air is thick with anticipation, with the scent of forbidden indulgence and a playful disregard for convention. One of the most striking examples of this playful inversion is the custom of boy bishops and lords of misrule. During certain festivals, young boys were chosen to lead religious services as boy bishops, giving squeaky-voiced homilies in oversized robes, their tiny figures comically dwarfed by the ecclesiastical vestments. It's a moment of delightful absurdity, a temporary handing over of authority to the most unlikely of figures. Simultaneously, lords of misrule would preside over burlesque pantomimes and issue saucy edicts, embodying a spirit of sanctioned satire and fun. You watch as they mock the powerful, gently lampooning authority figures, their antics providing a crucial steam valve for the pressures of a rigidly stratified society. It's a world turned upside down where laughter not decree momentarily reigns supreme. Even within the sacred realm, entertainment finds its footing through mystery plays. These simple dramas reenacted stories from the Bible and lives of saints, making complex narratives accessible to common people like yourself, many of whom are illiterate. They are performed in market squares or on rolling pageant wagons, bringing the sacred stories to life with earnest, if sometimes crude, theatricality. What makes them particularly memorable, you note, is that despite the solemn subject matter, unintentionally humorous moments abound. You might witness angels with chicken feathers glued to a white robe for wings, or an actor playing a saint getting his fake beard stuck on his crown in the midst of a dramatic scene. These moments, often unplanned, elicit cathartic laughter from the audience, a shared release that proves the human spirit finds humour even in the most unexpected places. It's a unique blend of devotion and earthy amusement. Midsummer festivals, with their ancient pagan roots, offer another form of communal enjoyment infused with beliefs about love and destiny. You participate in the revelry drawn by bonfires, dancing and love divinations. Young women hoping to glean clues about their future husbands float wreaths with candles on rivers and streams. You watch the flickering flames, each tiny light, a silent prayer, a hopeful wish cast upon the flowing water. It's a gentle, romantic form of fun, integrating folk beliefs into the communal celebration, a moment where magic feels close at hand. And then there are the truly peculiar forms of love magic. You might find yourself suppressing a chuckle at the sheer absurdity, yet you also recognise the earnest human desire for connection that propels such endearing if peculiar practices. You hear whispered advice at the autumn feast of St. Michael women, hoping to snag a husband, are advised to sleep with a carrot under their pillow and recite a charm to dream of their future spouse. It's a quaint, perhaps desperate form of medieval self-help blending superstition with earnest hope. But perhaps the strangest medieval amusement you encounter involves the humble hedgehog. These creatures are believed to possess magical powers for warding off evil and curing ailments, an intriguing bit of folklore. However, this belief takes a bizarre turn with a pastime called urchin rolling. Imagine competitors betting on how far a live hedgehog would roll down a hill. You can't quite fathom the logic or the appeal, but you witness it, a truly strange and uniquely medieval form of communal entertainment. It's a moment that perfectly encapsulates the curious blend of practicality, superstition, and sheer oddity that defines your world's approach to having a good time. Stepping away from the peculiar amusements rooted in superstition, you now turn your attention to the intensely personal, yet profoundly public arena of love, marriage, and family life. In your world, these aspects are often less about individual sentiment and more about social dynamics and strategic alliances. You understand that while Mary of Burgundy's marriage for love was a widely celebrated rarity among royals, it stood as a stark exception. For the vast majority of you, particularly among the nobility marriages, are pragmatic alliances carefully negotiated to secure land power and political stability. The functional nature of these relationships often overshadows individual desires, turning a union of two people into a strategic maneuver on the grand chessboard of medieval society. You observe that a powerful match can solidify a kingdom, while a poorly chosen one can sow the seeds of discontent and future conflict. Yet amidst these calculated arrangements, the human impulse for flirtation and courtship finds its own expressions, often in communal settings. At village festivals you see lads and lasses flirting and dancing around a gay decorated maypole. The music swells, the laughter rings out, and in these moments of carefree revelry, glances are exchanged, hands briefly brush, and the first sparks of affection ignite. It's a public open display of burgeoning romance sanctioned by the festive atmosphere. Similarly, at tournaments you observe noble ladies waving their favours to their chosen champions. A scarf, a ribbon, a small token. These are not just gestures of support, but also subtle acknowledgements of admiration, perhaps even declarations of budding, courtly love. These communal expressions of courtship, whether rustic or refined, highlight a universal human desire for connection, even when constrained by societal expectations. However, the uninhibited revelry of medieval festivities can also lead to more tangible and sometimes unplanned consequences. You hear whispers and perhaps experience firsthand the reputation of events like the St. Bartholomew Fair. It becomes known quite tellingly as a Bartholomew Baby Fair due to the sheer number of unplanned pregnancies that followed each year. This underscores the unbridled nature of medieval merriment, where the joyous release from daily drudgery often extended to matters of the heart and body, sometimes with unintended results. It's a candid glimpse into the less regulated, more passionate side of medieval social life, a time when inhibitions, along with societal rules, often loosened considerably under the influence of festive spirits and shared conviviality. Beyond these fleeting moments of personal connection, the ideals of love are powerfully shaped by literature. You encounter the works of Chrétien de Troyes, who composed the first tales of Lancelot and the Holy Grail. These stories, which would capture imaginations for centuries to come, are not mere entertainment. They meticulously craft and disseminate the ideals of romantic love chivalry and heroic quests, creating a romanticized vision that often contrasts sharply with the pragmatic realities of arranged marriages and societal expectations. You see how these narratives create an aspirational ideal, a longing for a love that transcends the mundane and the political, even if such a love is rarely, if ever, achieved in real life. It provides a blueprint for an idealized form of relationship, a counterpoint to the everyday practicalities. Moreover, the weight of clan identity profoundly influences personal and communal standing. Reputation, both individual and collective, is paramount. Tournament success, for example, is not merely a personal triumph for a knight. It also cements a lord's reputation and influence, benefiting his entire clan and attracting crucial allies. A knight's victory echoes through his lineage, elevating the prestige of his entire household. Conversely, public humiliation, such as the Count of Caolon's being thrown off his horse into the mud by Prince Edward, carries significant reputational consequences that can sour relations between powerful royal families. It's a stark reminder that in this tightly knit society, personal actions have far-reaching clan-wide implications. This extends to ostentatious displays of wealth. Possessing prized falcons, or ornate sets of chessmen carved from expensive materials like ivory, is a direct mark of social status and prestige. Such possessions reflect not just on the individual, but on the entire noble household, reinforcing its standing and power within the broader social hierarchy. These aren't just objects, they are statements. And for the common folk community, cohesion forged through shared festivities is equally vital. Village festivals foster shared identity and relief from daily drudgery, creating a vital sense of fellowship that reinforces communal bonds and identity. Even within the mystery plays, trade guilds take responsibility for staging different episodes, matching their craft, e.g. shipbuilders dramatising Noah's Ark, fostering a strong sense of collective identity and professional pride. In this world, whether noble or common, your identity is deeply intertwined with your clan and community, shaping your joys, your sorrows, and your very sense of self. You shift your perspective, now moving from the grand social narratives to the tangible, often cramped realities of daily existence. Within the structured yet harsh medieval world, the very spaces you inhabit, the meals you consume, and the practicalities of your being all serve as backdrops and indeed motivations for the era's diverse and sometimes strange forms of fun. The details of your living conditions don't just shape your comfort, they dictate where and how you find amusement. For the common folk, one venue stands above all others as a ubiquitous social haven, the tavern. You know it well. these are the most accessible and undeniably popular entertainment venues available to you. Imagine stepping into a cramped, dimly lit room packed with boisterous patrons. The air is thick with the mingled scents of stale ale, wood smoke and unwashed bodies, a pungent cocktail that clings to your clothes. The noise is a constant, raucous din of laughter, arguments, shouted stories, and the occasional burst of song. It's chaotic, certainly, yet it's a profoundly vital space, a place where the daily grind can be momentarily drowned out by the clinking of tankards and the boisterous sharing of tales. It's where communal bonds are reinforced, where news is exchanged, and where for a few precious hours you can forget your station. The rough-hewn tables are often sticky with spilled drinks, and the benches are hard, but the warmth of shared humanity in this hazy den of merriment makes it an irresistible draw. Beyond the permanent fixtures like taverns, entire landscapes transform into temporary cities during the great fairs. Picture a wide meadow outside a town usually used for grazing, suddenly becoming a vast tented city for weeks at a time. This bustling space, alive with countless stalls and booths, offers a deluge of sights and sounds unlike anything else in your life. The sounds are a cacophony of merchants' calls, musical instruments, animal noises, and the excited chatter of crowds. The smells are a rich tapestry, the pungent scent of exotic spices mixed with the earthy smells of livestock hay, and wood smoke from the food stalls, all vying for your attention. From shimmering silks to humble pottery, from jugglers to fortune-tellers, the sights and sounds are a kaleidoscopic assault on your senses, a true escape from the monotonous realities of your village. You lose yourself in the throng, marvelling at the sheer volume of goods and the endless stream of entertainment. For the nobility, the venues for amusement are predictably far grander. Great halls serve as their stages, opulent spaces, decked with rich tapestries and hangings that depict heroic scenes or lush landscapes. Gleaming candelabras cast a warm, flickering glow, illuminating elaborate feasts and performances. These halls are designed for sensory extravaganzas, carefully orchestrated to showcase immense wealth and power. You imagine the rustle of fine fabrics, the clinking of goblets, the strains of music, and the hushed awe of lesser guests. Every detail is a deliberate statement reinforcing the host's elevated status and demanding respect. And then there are the tournament grounds, massive fields temporarily transformed into vibrant arenas. You've seen them before, these spaces brimming with rows of colourful tents and pavilions, brightly coloured flags snapping briskly in the breeze. The ground, once simply pasture, becomes hallowed ground for martial spectacle, an atmosphere buzzing with eager expectation for days on end. Stands are erected for spectators, creating a tiered hierarchy of viewing that mirrors the social order itself. It is here that legends are made and reputations are won or lost, all within a space meticulously designed for grand public display. Even the simple act of hunting for the aristocrats demands its own specific, often luxurious venues. Hunting lodges, such as the Duke of Burgundy's retreat at La Bergière, are rustic yet luxurious. Nestled deep within game-rich woods, they serve as the basis for elaborate hunting expeditions. These lodges offer a wilder counterpoint to the refined opulence of court life, providing comfort and a touch of elegance even in the heart of nature. They are places for retreat, for camaraderie among hunting companions, and for revelling in the spoils of the chase. Finally, for the prized birds of prey, so central to noble leisure, there are the royal mews. These specialised buildings are meticulously designed to house hundreds of falcons, hawks and other birds. They are carefully tended by an army of falconers, each dedicated to the health and training of these valuable creatures. The mews are an impressive and crucial element of noble status and leisure, a silent testament to the vast resources and refined tastes of the aristocracy. These diverse settings, from the communal taverns to the magnificent royal mews, are not just passive backdrops. They are active participants in the drama of medieval fun, shaping the experiences and providing the very stage for life's peculiar entertainments. You now turn your attention to the most fundamental aspect of daily life, one that profoundly shapes the nature of medieval entertainment, diet and sustenance. What you eat, when you eat, and how you eat all speak volumes about your station and your society. For the wealthy particularly, the nobility meals are rarely simple acts of nourishment. They are lavish, noble feasts, Epicurean celebrations that transcend mere dining to become full-blown sensory extravaganzas. These feasts are meticulously designed to flaunt the host's wealth, status and power, sometimes lasting for days, and featuring an astonishing 50 courses or even more. Imagine the sheer logistical effort the army of cooks and servants required to produce such an immense spread. The grand hall as described earlier becomes a stage for this culinary theatre where every dish is a statement. And the dishes themselves are often as exotic as they are elaborate. You might encounter roasted peacocks redressed in their own plumage, their vibrant feathers carefully reattached after cooking, presented as if the bird were still alive and strutting. Swans, majestic and equally costly, might also grace the table. But the most theatrical presentations come in the form of subtleties. Edible sculptures made from sugar marzipan or pastry depicting anything from castles and ships to mythological beasts and allegorical scenes. These are not meant to be eaten immediately, but admired serving as conversation pieces. You hear of one infamous pie that when cut open burst forth with 28 musicians dressed as birds. This isn't just a meal. It's a spectacle, a performance piece where food and entertainment are inextricably married. You can almost hear the gasps of delight and the sudden burst of music, the entire experience designed to overwhelm the senses and etch itself into the memory of every guest. The generous use of imported spices further underscores the host's immense wealth. Saffron, ginger, nutmeg. These aren't everyday seasonings. They are costly spices, imported from distant lands at great cost, commodities as valuable as gold. Their presence in elite cuisine highlights the host's access to global trade networks and their ability to command vast resources. For you, a commoner, the very scent of these spices is exotic, a rare indulgence usually only encountered at a bustling fair. To taste them, to have them so freely applied to food, is a mark of unimaginable luxury and status. The practicalities of eating, however, are far less refined than the grandeur of the dishes suggests. Forks are not yet common, so diners predominantly use their trenchers, thick slices of stale bread that serve as edible plates, and their fingers. You eat communally from shared platters reaching into bowls alongside your table mates. This emphasises practicality over modern table etiquette, a functional approach to dining that contrasts sharply with the elaborate presentation of the food itself. After the meal, these trenches are often given to the poor, serving a double purpose as both plate and charity. It's a stark reminder that even within the most opulent settings, a certain earthiness and pragmatism underpin the experience. For those of you gathered in the taverns, the fare is unsurprisingly far simpler, yet equally satisfying in its own way. You would expect to find crusty manchet bread, a finer whiter loaf than the dark bread eaten by peasants, alongside zesty cheese and perhaps a hearty leek pottage, a thick, warming stew. All of this is, of course, washed down with plenty of ale or cider. This is simple, robust sustenance designed to fill hungry bellies and provide comfort after a day of labour. It's hearty, unpretentious food that builds camaraderie and fuels conversation, a stark but equally appreciated contrast to the grand theatricality of noble feasting. And finally, for those rare occasions when you make it to a fair, there are the fairground treats, precious indulgences that break the monotony of your daily diet. Imagine the tempting array of food from roasting meats and sweet pastries, the aroma wafting through the bustling crowd beckoning you closer. You might enjoy a mug of mead, a sweet honey wine or a savoury grilled pork pie, its crust golden and flaky. These are rare, exciting treats for villagers weary of their monotonous, often bland diets. They are moments of pure, unadulterated pleasure, a chance to taste something truly special, making the arduous journey to the fair and the constant toil between entirely worth it for these fleeting, delicious moments. You've explored the grand spectacles and the simple sustenance, but now you must confront a less glamorous yet fundamentally important aspect of medieval life that profoundly impacts all forms of fun hygiene and personal care. Or perhaps more accurately, the distinct lack thereof by your modern standards. Even amidst the opulence and grandeur of a great hall during a feast, you quickly realise these gatherings are quite unhygienic affairs. The rush floors wasund, which serve as both carpet and refuse disposal, are littered with bones, spilled food and drink, and even dog droppings from the Lord's hunting hounds. Imagine the odours, the stickiness underfoot, the general disarray that would greet your senses. This is not the pristine manicured environment you might associate with wealth. It's a living, breathing, and often quite messy testament to the era's different standards. A rudimentary form of communal hand-washing is indeed practiced. Before and after meals you might see shared basins of water and towels passed around. However, in an era utterly devoid of advanced sanitation, without any understanding of germ theory or the efficacy of soap, this ritual proves largely ineffective against disease. These crowded gatherings, despite their festive purpose, are unwittingly hotbeds for the spread of illness. You rub your hands in the murky water, perhaps sharing it with a dozen others, knowing deep down that you're not truly clean, but performing a social gesture. Every cough, every sneeze, every touch in these close quarters carries an unspoken threat, making any large public assembly a potential health hazard, a grim undercurrent beneath the merriment. The sensory realities of these crowded spaces are inescapable and often overwhelming. At the bustling fairs, you're hit by a potent cocktail of smells, the pungent scent of exotic spices mixed with the earthy smells of livestock hay and wood smoke from the food stalls. It's a rich, vibrant assault, a constant reminder of the raw, unfiltered environment you inhabit. Or consider a Venetian gambling house a hazy den of merriment and vice. Here the air would be heavy with the smell of sweat, unwashed wool, cheap wine, and the acrid tang of human desperation, all mingling with the fainter, cloying scent of perfume worn by a noble or a courtesan. These aren't sterile environments. They're visceral, immediate, and often profoundly uncomfortable. Your senses are constantly engaged, absorbing every detail, whether pleasant or foul, painting an unvarnished portrait of medieval entertainment. You feel the clammy air, the prickle of sweat on your skin, the jostle of bodies, the uneven ground beneath your feet. This leads you to consider the foundational contrast that defines life in the Middle Ages, the relentless rhythm of daily labour and responsibilities that makes any fun a precious commodity. For the average serf toiling in the fields, or the apprentice plying his trade, life is a relentless struggle for survival, a cycle of relentless physical exertion that begins at dawn and ends long after dusk. You wake to the crow of the rooster, your muscles already aching from yesterday's efforts, and your day is filled with the arduous tasks of ploughing, sowing, harvesting, or crafting. Leisure time for you is not a given. It's a true luxury, and any form of fun, from a brief song in the tavern to a full-blown festival, is a rare respite. You understand that these moments of joy are not simply diversions. They're essential for your sanity, for relieving the sheer physical and mental burden of perpetual toil. They are the brief, sweet breaths drawn between endless, demanding tasks, a lifeline against the crushing weight of your responsibilities. Even for the nobility, while their labour isn't the physical toil of the peasant, it is demanding in its own right. Young noble boys undergo rigorous nightly training in sword-play, lancing, and horsemanship, a physically intense and often dangerous regimen designed to prepare them for combat and courtly life. Noblemen, particularly the lady of the estate, face equally weighty, administrative tasks, managing vast households, overseeing servants, and often single-handedly running the estate in her lord's absence. This labour may be different, but it is far from idle, highlighting that even at the top of the social hierarchy, life is defined by significant responsibilities that make moments of leisure all the more valued and often all the more extravagant. As you delve deeper into the rhythms of medieval life, you realise that for certain groups the concept of labour is profoundly intertwined with their very survival, making the pursuit of fun a constant, often precarious endeavour. Consider the wandering minstrels, those figures with their lutes and their clever words who gets out a precarious living. Their existence is a tightrope walk as they travel from village to village, castle to castle, singing for their supper or performing tricks in a marketplace. Their next meal, their very shelter, is dependent on the generosity of strangers and the fickle whims of audiences. One night they might be feasting in a lord's great hall, the next sleeping in a ditch by the roadside. Their craft is their livelihood, their entertainment a desperate bid for survival. You recognise the courage and resilience required to live such an uncertain life, constantly needing to be engaging, to be fresh, to be fun in order to simply exist. Then there are the merchants, particularly those who frequent the major fairs. You see them making long journeys home, after intense weeks of haggling over prices and striking deals. The Stourbridge Fair, for instance, is not just a place of entertainment. It's a period of commerce so demanding that its profits can sustain a trader for the entire year. Their arduous tasks at the fair are relentless, setting up stalls, managing goods, negotiating fiercely, all while trying to protect their wares and their profits from thieves and tricksters. The fun they experience at the fair is a secondary benefit, a brief reprieve squeezed between grueling commercial transactions. Their hard work at these hubs of activity underscores the interwoven nature of commerce and leisure, where the thrill of a good deal is almost as exciting as the performance of a juggler. Even in the more specialised pursuits of the nobility, there is a deep vein of dedicated craftsmanship that could be considered a form of labour. Take the falconer, for instance. Their role involves a careful process of capturing and training birds through a whole lot of patience. This isn't a casual hobby, it's a demanding specialised craft that requires immense skill, knowledge and dedication. The falconer spends countless hours with their birds, meticulously handling them, feeding them and teaching them to hunt. This demanding craft is essential to the noble pastime of falconry, ensuring that the Lord's prized bird is perfectly conditioned and ready for the chase. You observe the quiet intensity of their work, recognizing that the grandeur of the hunt relies on the hidden, tireless efforts of these skilled individuals. Now let's turn to childhood and education. For it is here that the foundations for future roles and indeed for future recreation are laid. You understand that your upbringing is not just about learning, it's about preparation for your predetermined place in society. For young noble boys, life is a rigorous apprenticeship from a very early age. They begin as pages, learning basic etiquette, serving at table, and observing the ways of the court. As they grow, they become squires, undergoing intensive nightly training in the arts of sword-play, lancing, and horsemanship. This isn't play. It's serious, often dangerous work designed to prepare them for their future roles in combat and courtly life, including participation in the grand tournaments that will define their manhood. Their fun is often structured around the development of these essential skills, blurring the lines between training and recreation. Mary of Burgundy offers a fascinating counterpoint to typical gender roles. She receives a remarkably well-rounded education for a woman of her time, one that goes beyond traditional household management and religious instruction. Her curriculum includes horsemanship, archery, and how to train a falcon, reflecting a unique deviation from the norm fueled by her passion for hunting. You see her as a spirited exception, an early example of a woman embracing pursuits typically reserved for men, showing that even within a rigid society, individual temperament and privilege can carve out unconventional paths. Her education isn't just about knowledge. It's about enabling her to fully participate in the forms of entertainment. She truly loves to be an active, not merely decorative participant in aristocratic leisure. You now observe how even the structured, playful inversions of medieval society contribute to a child's understanding of their world. The custom of boy bishops during the Feast of Fools provides a unique, albeit temporary taste of authority. For a brief period, young boys are chosen to lead mock masses and deliver sermons, experiencing a playful yet formative exercise in social inversion. Imagine the thrill, the nervous excitement of being a child suddenly vested with the trappings of power, if only for a day. It offers a fleeting glimpse into the world of adults, a chance to mimic and playfully critique the very structures that govern their lives. It's a memory you realise that would stay with a boy for years, a tale to be told, and a subtle lesson in the flexibility and occasional absurdity of social roles. Beyond these organised, if chaotic events, informal games provide universal recreation for all ages. You see groups gathered, young and old alike, men and women, enjoying simple pastimes like bowls, a game played with rounded stones or wooden balls, or perhaps Nine Men's Morris, a strategic board game scratched into the dirt or carved into a wooden plank. These aren't elaborate spectacles. They are spontaneous communal activities that foster early engagement and recreation. They teach strategy, develop hand-eye coordination, and most importantly create moments of shared enjoyment and connection across generations and genders. These simple games are a vital part of the fabric of daily life, offering accessible fun that doesn't require wealth or status, connecting everyone through the universal language of play. From these personal realities and the foundational structures of your world, you now turn to the overarching forces that govern your existence. To truly appreciate the diverse and often strange forms of medieval fun, you must first grasp the immutable systemic conditions of existence that define the macro-level context of this historical period. These aren't just background details. They are the very air you breathe, the ground you walk on, the invisible forces that dictate the boundaries and possibilities of every moment of joy or hardship you experience. Without understanding these foundational realities, the peculiar ways in which people found amusement would seem utterly incomprehensible. It's like trying to understand a play without knowing the set, the rules of the stage, or the fundamental premise of the story. The inescapable social hierarchy, or the feudal framework, is the prime example. You've already glimpsed its rigid class divide, but it bears. Repeating medieval Europe is fundamentally a feudal society where a small noble class ruled over a large peasant population. This isn't just an abstract concept, it's the lived reality that shapes every decision, every interaction, and every opportunity. You're acutely aware that approximately 90% of the population are serfs, virtual slaves bound to the land. This creates a truly stark contrast in access to and the very types of entertainment available to different strata of society. Your fun as a serf is inherently communal, born of necessity and brief respite, while the noble's fun is individualistic, ostentatious, and often tied to displays of power. The defined noble ranks further elaborate this divide. The nobility isn't a monolithic block. It comprises lords and ladies, knights, ranging from minor gentry to immensely powerful figures and various levels in between. These are the individuals who hold the vast majority of wealth, political power, and crucially leisure time. It is this segment of society that can afford to indulge in the most extravagant pastimes, the stranger forms of fun that require significant resources such as tournaments, elaborate hunting parties, and falconry. You observe their lives from a distance, recognizing that their joys are as far removed from your daily struggles as their gilded castles are from your humble dwelling. Their pleasures are a constant visible reminder of their elevated status, a subtle assertion of their right to amusement, a stark contrast to the shared hard-won laughter of the common folk. You are perpetually aware of the limited social mobility that defines your medieval existence. While you've heard the inspiring, almost mythical tale of William Marshall, who ascended from humble origins to become one of the most powerful and respected men in the realm, you understand with a weary certainty that such trajectories are vanishingly rare. Marshall's story is a lightning strike, not a common path. For nearly everyone you know, your birth dictates your destiny, rigidly determining your access to wealth, power, and critically the very forms of fun you're allowed to experience. If you're born a serf, you will likely die a serf your life, a continuous cycle of labour with little room for deviation. This lack of upward movement is a heavy weight shaping aspirations and making even small pleasures feel like immense victories. Even within the context of leisure, the societal structure is reflected. Consider the hunting retinue as a social microcosm. A nobleman's elaborate hunting party is not just a group of people chasing game, it's a living, breathing representation of the broader feudal structure. From the lord at the apex resplendent on his mount down through specialised huntsmen, prickers and beaters, each individual has distinct roles often signified by specific livery or clothing. You might be one of those beaters trudging through the undergrowth driving game towards the waiting nobles, your importance measured solely by your utility to the hunt. This meticulous organisation, even in a recreational pursuit, underscores the rigid social order that pervades every aspect of your life. Every command, every position reinforces the hierarchy, making the hunt a performative display of power as much as it is a sport. Now let us examine the core economy and resource management, the very engine driving the medieval world, which in turn influences the availability and nature of entertainment. You understand perhaps better than anyone that the agrarian foundation is paramount. The economy is overwhelmingly based on agriculture, with peasants toiling in the fields to produce food for society. Your sweat and muscle are the bedrock upon which everything else is built. This means that agricultural cycles, the seasons of sowing, growing and harvesting, are central to your life. They dictate the timing of festivals, the periods of potential leisure, and the very rhythm of your existence. A good harvest means the possibility of celebration. A bad one means hardship and hunger, stripping away any thought of amusement. Your connection to the land is not merely practical, it's existential. In contrast to the quiet of your fields, fairs as economic and social hubs provide a vibrant nexus where commerce and pleasure meet. Trade fairs like the Stourbridge Fair are not just markets. They are vital commercial hubs that also serve as major social gatherings. You've seen them, these temporary cities, attracting traders from across Europe and beyond, who come to sell their goods, and in doing so provide a bustling, chaotic array of entertainment for locals and travellers alike. Jugglers, storytellers, musicians and performers flock to these gatherings, knowing that where there is commerce, there is also an audience eager for diversion. The fair is a perfect illustration of how deeply intertwined the economic and social fabric of your world truly is. Without the commerce, there would be no reason for such a large gathering. Without the gathering, there would be no audience for the strange and wonderful performers. The cost of luxury and entertainment is a constant, stark reminder of the economic divide. You've already considered the price of a gerfalcon worth a small castle, but think about the costly spices that grace a noble's table, imported from distant lands at great expense, or the intricately carved chessmen made from expensive materials like ivory. These items are not merely goods, they are potent symbols of wealth and power, highlighting how only the elite can afford the stranger and most extravagant forms of fun. The very existence of these luxuries depends on vast trade networks, secure routes, and the ability to pay exorbitant prices. For you, the commoner, these are items of almost mythical status, beautiful but utterly unattainable, serving as a constant visual marker of the immense gulf between your daily struggles and the effortless opulence of the nobility. You understand that for some, the dangerous spectacles of the age offer more than just entertainment. They present a precarious yet potentially lucrative economic path. For successful knights, tournament winnings as significant income are a powerful motivator. Victories don't just bring glory, they offer substantial ransom money from captured opponents and a healthy share of the prize purse. This provides a significant economic incentive for participating in these dangerous contests. A knight who consistently performs well can amass considerable wealth, elevating his status, allowing him to maintain his retinue, and affording him luxuries otherwise out of reach. It's a high-stakes gamble where physical prowess and courage directly translate into economic gain, a unique form of medieval entrepreneurship. Even the most beautiful aspects of the natural world are subject to the rigid economic control of the crown. You learn about the royal control of resources, vividly illustrated by the king's absolute ownership of all swans. Severe penalties await anyone caught poaching these elegant birds, which are not just creatures of beauty, but also symbols of royal prerogative and status. This demonstrates the monarch's pervasive control over natural resources, extending even to those viewed as decorative or symbolic. It's a reminder that nothing, not even a wild bird, is truly outside the king's reach, reinforcing the vastness of royal authority in unexpected ways. Now you turn to nature's relentless fury and universal threats, the harsh environmental realities that form the unyielding backdrop of your medieval life. These aren't just occasional inconveniences, they are ever present, shaping your worldview and underscoring the preciousness of any moment of respite. You're all too familiar with pervasive disease and famine. The Middle Ages, as you experience it, is characterized by an ever-present spectre of disease, famine, and violence. You have witnessed plagues, causing the death of millions of lives, decimating entire populations, and leaving a profound sense of grief and fear in their wake. The threat of scarcity of crops failing and hunger setting in is a constant worry, making any moments of fun a cherished, almost defiant escape from the grim realities that perpetually hover at the edges of your consciousness. The lack of formal relief efforts is a stark, implicit truth of your era. There are no large-scale organised systems for disaster relief or social welfare. When famine strikes or disease sweeps through, communities are largely left to fend for themselves. This means that your immediate neighbours, your local lord and the church are your only recourse. This self-reliance makes communal festivals and shared amusements all the more important for morale. These gatherings are not just about enjoyment. They are vital acts of collective resilience, fostering a sense of solidarity and shared identity in the face of overwhelming odds. They provide a temporary psychological balm, a chance to momentarily forget the hardships and reinforce the bonds that hold your community together. You also live with everyday dangers and hardship that extend beyond the major catastrophes. Fires posed a constant danger in crowded settlements, where timber and thatch are abundant. A single spark from a cooking fire or a blacksmith's forge could engulf an entire street or village in minutes. And warfare was grim and all too common. Not just grand battles, but smaller localized skirmishes, raids and brigandage that made travel perilous and life uncertain. This constant sense of precarity of living on the edge underscores the immense value of temporary diversions. Every festival, every song, every shared drink in the tavern becomes a small act of defiance against a world that is often brutal and unforgiving, highlighting the human capacity for finding light even in the deepest shadows. You realize that against this relentless backdrop of rigid hierarchy and environmental challenges, medieval governance employs various mechanisms of control, even within the realm of leisure. Human ingenuity, however, continuously finds ways to navigate, resist, and sometimes exploit these systems for both entertainment and power. This intricate dance between authority and human spirit is a fascinating aspect of your world. Begin with the unyielding power hierarchy in practice, command, and display. Monarchs and powerful lords aren't merely indulging in fun, They are orchestrating spectacle for political gain. Rulers like Edward the Win or the artistic king René of Anjou stage dazzling tournaments and lavish feasts not just for pure enjoyment but as astute public relations coup. These events are carefully choreographed to flaunt wealth, power and prestige, to cement a lord's reputation and influence, and crucially to attract allies while simultaneously intimidating rivals. You watch as a tournament unfolds, understanding that beneath the clashing steel and colourful banners, a complex game of political manoeuvring is being played out. The cheers for a victorious knight are also implicitly cheers for his patron, reinforcing the hierarchy with every roar from the crowd. Similarly, feasts as tools of power projection are meticulously planned. A lavish banquet is far more than a meal. It's a potent display of wealth, power and sophistication. Every course, every exotic aroma, every performance by a minstrel is designed to reinforce social hierarchy and ensure loyalty among retainers. You as a guest might be seated according to your rank, your position at the table a clear indicator of your status in the host's eyes. The opulence isn't just to impress, it's a calculated statement, a demonstration that the lord is capable of providing, protecting and commanding, thus securing the fealty of his vassals. You feel the implicit power radiating from the high table, understanding your place in the grand scheme. Even apparently trivial aspects of the natural world are subject to this intense royal authority. You've already learned of the royal authority over noble pastimes, epitomised by the king's ultimate ownership of all swans. This isn't a mere eccentricity. It demonstrates the monarch's direct control even over natural resources traditionally enjoyed by the nobility. To challenge this right is to challenge the king's power, a dangerous endeavour indeed. This level of control, extending into what might seem like private leisure, reinforces the absolute nature of royal power. And then there's the profound, often dangerous weight of the implicit power of royal words. You recall the infamous historical account of King Henry II's rash exclamation, "Will no one rid me of this turbulent priest?" referring to Thomas Becket. While perhaps not a direct command, his knights interpreted it as such, leading to Becket's brutal murder. This event starkly illustrates the profound and often terrifying power of royal authority, where even an offhand remark can have fatal consequences. You understand that a king's words are not to be taken lightly, that his displeasure can ripple outwards with devastating effect, transforming a casual complaint into a death sentence. Amidst these displays of power, legal and enforcement mechanisms are constantly at work attempting to regulate even your moments of fun. The church, for instance, in its concern for peace and the lives of its flock, tried to ban tournaments altogether as needlessly risky. You hear of Vatican edicts denouncing these violent spectacles, highlighting attempts by religious authority to regulate public pastimes. Yet you also observe that these prohibitions were often largely ignored, demonstrating a tension between ecclesiastical authority and the deep-seated cultural desire for martial entertainment. The church could preach, but the clashing of steel and the roar of the crowd often proved a more persuasive ritual. Similarly, the authorities keep a weary eye on such antics as carnival. While it's a sanctioned period of social inversion, there are occasional crackdowns by disapproving bishops or town fathers to prevent excess from spiralling into genuine chaos and undermining the social order. The freedom of carnival is a carefully managed illusion, allowed only within certain bounds. And for the vast majority of you, the strict forest laws and poaching penalties are a very real and brutal part of life. Severe penalties awaited any commoner caught poaching the king's deer, including having their hands or ears cut off. This is not merely a fine, it's a brutal enforcement of noble hunting rights, a stark reminder that the king's game is his and his alone. These laws underscore the vast disparities in rights and the harshness of the justice system for the common folk. You observe that even in the seemingly mundane commercial and social hubs, specialised legal structures emerge to maintain order. At large fairs, for instance, a unique court of pie powders provides swift legal resolution for disputes among merchants. The name itself, derived from the French pieds poudreux, dusty feet, suggests the transient nature of its clientele. This court handles immediate grievances, ensuring that trade can continue without significant interruption, reflecting the unique legal needs of these bustling commercial and social hubs. You see justice being administered quickly, a necessary expediency to prevent prolonged conflicts from disrupting the flow of goods and the general merriment of the fair. It's a pragmatic approach to law, tailored to the unique environment of temporary commerce. Gambling, a pervasive form of entertainment across all social strata, also falls under the watchful eye of authority. You learn of royal bans on gambling, such as those issued by King Louis IX during the Crusades, recognizing the disruptive potential of high-stakes wagering. Tales abound of monarchs losing vast sums or even territory on a single roll of the dice, demonstrating the very real need to control this addictive pastime. This leads perhaps surprisingly to the establishment of early Gluck House, or casinos, places where gambling is regulated and crucially taxed. These establishments emerge as a way to contain the vice, to profit from it, and to prevent its more destructive excesses from spilling into broader society. It's a fascinating pragmatic response to a deeply ingrained human desire for risk and reward. Now you turn to a darker yet equally foundational aspect of your world, the shadow of death and honour as societal control. This isn't just about the physical dangers, it's about the profound consequences that actions carry, often leading to fatal outcomes, and how the pursuit of honour can be a powerful, often deadly force of social control. You know that the high stakes of dangerous fun are not mere hyperbole. Tournaments are genuinely hazardous, with severe injuries and even deaths being common. Knights in their quest for glory and wealth put their lives on the line with every charge. Royal hunting too carries real risk, as tragically demonstrated by Mary of Burgundy, whose fatal fall from her horse at just 25 years old highlights the ever-present danger, even for the most privileged. These are not games in the modern sense. They're activities with genuine, often brutal consequences. Beyond accidental death, martyrdom as a power consequence can fundamentally alter the political landscape. Thomas Becket's murder, a direct result of his clash with King Henry II, transforms him into a martyr. His tomb quickly becomes a major pilgrimage site, drawing thousands. This event strikingly demonstrates how even death, particularly a politically charged one, can become a powerful symbolic act within the struggle for control. It ironically strengthens the cause it was meant to suppress, turning a victim into a potent symbol of resistance against royal overreach. You see how such a death can galvanise popular opinion, creating a legacy far more potent than the individual life lost. Political violence and royal downfall serve as grim reminders that even for those at the very pinnacle of power, life is precarious. You hear of barons executed for treason, their severed heads displayed on pikes as chilling warnings to others. You recall the horrifying fate of Edward II, deposed and brutally murdered in a dungeon. These stories underscore the brutal realities of power. Those who wield it live in constant danger, and perceived disloyalty or political miscalculation can lead to a swift, often gruesome end. The dazzling tournaments and lavish feasts, you realise, are merely the glittering surface of a world where deadly power games are constantly being played. Moreover, diplomatic fallout from competitive pride often extends beyond the arena. The intense rivalry at tournaments, such as the physical clash between Prince Edward I and the Count of Cowlons, as we discussed earlier, could result in lasting diplomatic tensions and strained relations between nations. These mock battles, you understand, have very real-world consequences, proving that the pursuit of personal and national honour in these events is no trivial matter. A perceived slight in the lists could easily ignite a wider conflict, illustrating the deep personal and political stakes involved for the powerful. Finally, public humiliation as a form of social control is a potent, if less lethal, tool. The public shaming of nobles, whether through the physical force of a prince throwing a count into the mud, or through engineered dives in a joust to protect another's dignity, serves as a powerful means to assert dominance and maintain the hierarchical social order. Such acts are not just personal indignities, they are public lessons, visual reminders of who holds power and who must defer. These moments, whether brutally direct or subtly choreographed, underscore the raw, often unforgiving mechanisms by which medieval society places its own, ensuring everyone understands their designated role and the very real consequences of transgressing it. Yet even under such immense pressure from power control and the pervasive shadow of death, the human spirit, particularly among the common folk, continuously finds seeds of discontent and peasant resilience, manifesting in moments of joy amidst oppression. It's a testament to the stubborn, unyielding nature of the human spirit. Carnival as a steam valve for social tensions is perhaps the clearest example of this resilience. The sanctioned satire and social inversion of Carnival, with its boy bishops giving squeaky-voiced homilies and lords of misrule issuing saucy edicts, provides a crucial outlet. It's a steam valve for relieving the intense pressures built up within the rigid, feudal hierarchy, allowing temporary harmless mockery of authority. You witness how for a few days the world turns upside down. Peasants can playfully mock their lords, the young can command the old, and the rules of propriety are loosened. This isn't full-blown rebellion, but a controlled, almost therapeutic release that helps to prevent deeper unrest by acknowledging and temporarily indulging popular grievances. It's an ingenious social mechanism. This permissible irreverence leads to poking fun at the mighty. Carnival and the Feast of Fools explicitly allow commoners to poke fun at the mighty with ribald songs and satirical skits. Imagine the catharsis of hearing a familiar, perhaps tyrannical lord or a pompous clergyman lampooned in a public square. The laughter that erupts isn't just amusement. It's a shared expression of defiance, a moment of collective power, where the ordinary can, with sanctioned impunity, turn the tables on their betters. It forges a powerful sense of unity among the common folk, reminding them of their shared humanity and shared struggles even in the face of immense power disparities. These brief moments of shared jest are vital for maintaining morale and social cohesion. You understand the profound importance of laughter as a healing balm, even amidst the sacrilegious humour sometimes found in the earnest but often clumsy performances of mystery plays, from angels with chicken feathers to actors with fake beards getting stuck. You feel a powerful cleansing release. This laughter, often unintentional, provided a healing balm for lives that could often be nasty, brutish and short. In a world defined by relentless labour, disease and violence, the simple act of shared merriment is profoundly therapeutic. It offers a momentary escape from anxiety, a chance to momentarily forget the hardships and simply exist in a state of joy. You feel the tension leave your body, the stress of daily survival receding with each peal of laughter. It's a testament to humanity's inherent need for joy, even when life offers so little of it. Indeed, these resilience and joy in adversity are palpable at every festival and fair. These gatherings are a vital reminder of the resilience and joy of the human spirit. They offer precious moments of happiness and connection even in the face of great adversity, serving as a testament to the enduring human need for fun. You leave these events with a renewed spirit, a sense of belonging, and the strength to face another season of toil. They are not mere distractions. They are essential acts of reaffirmation, celebrating life and community in a world that often seems determined to diminish both. They act as psychological anchors, marking the passage of time with moments of shared celebration and communal identity. For the weary, these festivities offer a tantalizing escape from the often grim realities of life. They provide a chance to dream of brighter tomorrows and cope with unrelenting hardship. Imagine a peasant exhausted from a year of arduous labour, gazing at the glittering stalls of a fair, listening to the music or dancing with abandon around a maypole. In these fleeting moments, the weight of hunger sickness and endless toil lifts. You can for a brief time imagine a world free from want a life filled with music and laughter, a future that holds more than just struggle. These aren't just idle fantasies, they're essential psychological tools providing hope and a reason to persevere. They are the small, cherished rays of light that pierce through the pervasive shadows of medieval existence, fueling the enduring human spirit with the promise of future joy, a silent, powerful rebellion against a world designed to keep you down. As you consider the enduring resilience of the medieval spirit, you realize that the forms of fun are deeply intertwined with the tangible realities of life, providing a necessary contrast to daily existence. What might seem peculiar to you now was then a profound release. The rigid feudal structure, the relentless agricultural demands, and the pervasive threats of famine and disease shaped not only survival, but also the precious pockets of leisure. Understanding these foundational realities allows you to see the medieval world not just as a time of hardship, but as a testament to humanity's unyielding need for joy and connection. Let's revisit the concept of the inescapable social hierarchy. You've seen how this feudal society is stratified, with the vast majority of you as serfs, virtual slaves bound to the land, serving a small noble class. This isn't just a political system, it's a social conditioner. Your entertainment then as a commoner is necessarily communal and cost-effective. It involves storytelling, simple games and shared festivals, all deeply rooted in collective experience and local tradition. In contrast, the defined noble ranks, lords, ladies and knights, experience entertainment as a display. Their tournaments, hunts and feasts are not just fun. They're elaborate performances designed to reinforce their status, wealth and power. You observe this dichotomy constantly. Your fun is born of necessity and community, theirs of privilege and display. The impact of limited social mobility cannot be overstated. While the rare rise of a William Marshall provides a flicker of hope, it also emphasizes the general lack of opportunity for advancement. For most, life's path is predetermined at birth. This means that for the overwhelming majority, finding fun is about embracing the small available pleasures rather than aspiring to grand, unattainable spectacles. It cultivates a different kind of appreciation, a gratitude for simple joys, for the warmth of a tavern fire, the shared laughter over a rough jest, or the thrill of a local game. Your contentment, you understand, must come from within your allotted sphere. The core economy and resource management, primarily agrarian foundation, also profoundly impacts how and when fun occurs. Your life tied to the rhythms of the land means that festivals and celebrations are often seasonal, marking significant points in the agricultural calendar, planting, harvest, winter solstice. These periods of respite are earned through grueling labour and are celebrated with an intensity that reflects the hard work preceding them. A successful harvest isn't just about food, it's about the joyous feasting that follows a collective sigh of relief and celebration of survival. Fairs, as economic and social hubs, demonstrate how commerce and entertainment become inseparable. These bustling events, drawing traders and goods from across Europe, create a unique environment where the serious business of buying and selling is interspersed with the chaotic delight of performers' exotic goods and rare treats. For you, the commoner, the fair offers a fleeting glimpse into a wider world, a chance to experience wonders and tastes otherwise unavailable. It's a sensory feast, a break from routine that is both economically driven and socially vital. The cost of luxury and entertainment is a constant, stark reminder of the economic divide. A priceless falcon, a feast with costly imported spices, these are beyond your wildest dreams. They highlight that the stranger and most extravagant forms of fun are a direct function of immense wealth. These spectacles require resources and labour that only the nobility can command, making their pleasures a testament to their economic power. You observe this from afar, perhaps, with a touch of envy, but mostly with a resigned understanding of your place in this world. Even the tournament winnings are significant income for knights, while a form of fun for them highlights the economic undercurrents. These dangerous games are not merely about chivalry. They're opportunities for real financial gain, solidifying a knight's position and allowing him to maintain his lifestyle. It's a harsh, high-stakes career where skill and luck can lead to fortune, but failure can lead to ruin or death. Finally, royal control of resources, such as the king's ownership of all swans, underscores the pervasive reach of authority. Even seemingly trivial natural elements are subject to royal decree, reminding everyone of the monarch's ultimate power. This constant awareness of authority, even in leisure, provides a subtle but definite boundary to the forms of fun that are permissible. Your understanding of medieval fun, then, is a layered one deeply informed by these foundational systemic realities, demonstrating how ingenuity and resilience always find a way to carve out moments of lightness and joy. You've now navigated the complex social structures and economic realities, and understood how leisure and fun are carved out within these strictures. Yet an even more fundamental force dictates the value and intensity of these fleeting joys, nature's relentless fury and universal threats. The medieval world as you experience it is one of constant existential pressure, making any moment of relief profoundly cherished. Pervasive disease and famine are not abstract concepts from a distant scroll. They are etched into your memory, into the very bones of your community. You recall the chilling statistics, plagues, claiming millions of lives, wiping out entire villages, leaving behind a silence more terrifying than any battle cry. The threat of scarcity of crops failing and the gnawing pangs of hunger is an annual anxiety. Every healthy breath you take, every meal you eat, is a small victory against this omnipresent threat. This ever-present shadow means that fun is not a frivolous indulgence, but a crucial psychological and social necessity, a desperate, defiant embrace of life in the face of death. A laugh shared is a moment when the spectre of despair is briefly banished. The lack of formal relief efforts accentuates this reliance on self-sufficiency and communal bonds. There are no national granaries, no organised medical aid beyond the local wise woman or barber surgeon. When disaster strikes, your community relies on its own internal fortitude, on neighbour helping neighbour. This lack of external support makes communal festivals and shared amusements indispensable. They're not just celebrations, they're acts of social cohesion, moments to reaffirm solidarity, to collectively mourn losses, and to draw strength from shared experience. The communal dance, the shared cup of ale, the storytelling around a bonfire, these become sacred rituals binding you together against the unforgiving odds. Beyond the major catastrophes, everyday dangers and hardship are a constant companion. You're acutely aware that fires posed a constant danger in your densely packed timber and thatch settlements. A stray spark, a forgotten candle, and your entire life's possessions could be reduced to ashes in minutes. Warfare was grim and all too common. Not just grand campaigns, but localized skirmishes, banditry, and punitive raids that made travel perilous and life unpredictable. This pervasive sense of precarity injects a bittersweet urgency into every moment of fun. It makes the raucous laughter in the tavern more vibrant, the colourful spectacle of the fair more dazzling, and the simple joy of a game more profound. Every moment of lightness is a stolen victory, a testament to the human spirit's refusal to be crushed by adversity. Now, as you stand in the midst of these foundational realities, you can truly begin to understand power control and human response governance, conflict and dissent. This segment explores how even within the realm of leisure, medieval governance exerted its authority, and how human ingenuity found ways to navigate, resist, or exploit these systems. It's a complex interplay where the pursuit of pleasure often runs headlong into the dictates of power and sometimes becomes a tool of power itself. Consider the unyielding power hierarchy in practice, command and display. Monarchs and powerful lords didn't just host dazzling tournaments and lavish feasts for sheer enjoyment. These were meticulously crafted public relations coups. They served to flaunt wealth, power and prestige, to cement a lord's reputation and influence, and crucially to attract allies while subtly intimidating rivals. When you see a knight achieve victory in the lists or witness the unparalleled opulence of a noble feast, you understand that these are more than mere entertainments. They are calculated performances designed to reinforce the social order, to demand loyalty, and to project an image of impregnable authority. Every cheer, every gasp, every admiring glance contributes to the powerful narrative of the ruling class. Feasts as tools of power projection were particularly effective. A lavish banquet was a carefully orchestrated affair, not just a meal, but a sensory experience designed to demonstrate the host's wealth, power, and sophistication. The sheer abundance of food, the exotic aromas, the array of entertainment all serve to reinforce social hierarchy and ensure the loyalty of retainers. Your seating at such an event would directly reflect your social standing, a constant visual reminder of your place. The feast then becomes a microcosm of the kingdom, a tableau of power where every detail from the finest linen to the most skilled musician contributes to the lord's majestic aura, securing his vassals' fealty and cementing his rule. You continue to observe the subtle yet pervasive reach of the unyielding power hierarchy. Even seemingly natural elements fall under the strict purview of the crown, demonstrating an almost absolute claim to all resources. The royal authority over noble pastimes is starkly revealed through the king's ultimate ownership of all swans. To poach one, or even to possess one without royal sanction, carries severe penalties. This isn't merely about protecting a bird. It illustrates the monarch's direct control over natural resources, even those traditionally enjoyed by the nobility as symbols of beauty and status. You recognize this as a potent assertion of power, a reminder that the king's will extends to every corner of his realm, leaving no stone unturned in the assertion of his dominion. It's a subtle, yet constant reinforcement of who truly holds the reins. The profound, often dangerous weight of the implicit power of royal words becomes strikingly clear as you reflect on historical events. King Henry II's fateful lament, "Will no one rid me of this turbulent priest concerning Thomas Becket?" was not a direct order, yet his knights, understanding the unspoken implications of royal displeasure, acted upon it. Becket's subsequent murder dramatically illustrates the terrifying power of royal authority, where even an offhand remark can have fatal, far-reaching consequences. You realize that a king's words carry an almost magical weight, capable of shaping destinies and spilling blood, a terrifying example of how carefully one must navigate the courtly world. Amidst these grand displays of power, legal and enforcement mechanisms are constantly at work attempting to regulate society even at its leisure. The Church, with its moral authority, tried to ban tournaments altogether as needlessly risky. You hear of Vatican edicts, perhaps read from a local pulpit, condemning these violent spectacles as a waste of life and a distraction from piety. This highlights the ongoing tension between ecclesiastical authority, which sought to impose moral order and peace, and the deeply ingrained cultural desire for martial entertainment, particularly among the nobility. You see how these edicts were often largely ignored, a testament to the powerful allure of glory and the stubborn resistance to external control over popular pastimes. While the Church could preach the clashing of steel and the roar of the crowd, often proved a more persuasive ritual. Regulation of public revelry is also a constant balancing act. Authorities keep a weary eye on such antics as carnival. While this period of sanctioned social inversion provides a vital steam valve for societal tensions, there are occasional crackdowns by disapproving bishops or town fathers to prevent the festive chaos from spiralling into genuine social disorder. The freedom of carnival, you understand, is carefully managed and confined within specific boundaries. It's a delicate dance between allowing a controlled release and preventing outright anarchy, a pragmatic approach to managing popular discontent through temporary license. For the common folk, the strict forest laws and poaching penalties are a brutal reality of legal enforcement. Severe penalties awaited any commoner caught poaching the king's deer, punishments that included having their hands or ears cut off. This is not a deterrent measured in coin. It's a terrifying physical assertion of noble hunting rights, a stark reminder that the king's game, and by extension, his land and resources, are inviolable. These laws underscore the vast disparities in legal rights and the harshness of the justice system for the peasantry, a chilling backdrop to the lord's leisurely chase. Furthermore, specialised courts for fairs illustrate the pragmatic adaptability of medieval law. At large fairs, the unique court of pie powders, from pieds poudrés, meaning dusty feet, referring to the itinerant merchants, provides swift legal resolution for disputes among traders. This court is essential for maintaining order and facilitating commerce in these bustling temporary cities. Its existence reflects the unique legal needs of these commercial and social hubs, where efficiency and rapid judgments are paramount to ensure that disputes don't disrupt trade or escalate into wider conflicts. It's a practical, localised solution to a very specific set of legal challenges, keeping the wheels of commerce and the flow of merriment turning. You witness how gambling, a universal human pastime, is both embraced and feared, leading to various attempts at its control. Regulation of gambling is a recurring theme. You hear of royal bans on gambling, such as those enacted by King Louis XVI during the Crusades, who understood the destructive potential of high-stakes wagering, especially among soldiers whose focus should be on battle, not dice. Tales circulate of monarchs losing vast sums, or even entire territories on a single turn of the card, highlighting the very real need to control this addictive vice. This recognition perhaps counterintuitively leads to the establishment of early Gluck House, or casinos. These aren't simply dens of iniquity. They are state-sanctioned and regulated establishments where gambling is permitted and crucially often taxed. They represent a pragmatic attempt to manage rather than eradicate a deeply ingrained human desire for risk and reward, channeling it into a controlled environment where the authorities can both monitor and profit from it. You see this as a nuanced approach, acknowledging human nature while attempting to curb its more destructive impulses. Now you confront the stark realities of the shadow of death and honour as societal control, a pervasive force that shapes decisions and infuses even leisure with an undeniable element of danger and consequence. You understand that high stakes of dangerous fun are not merely rhetorical. Tournaments are genuinely hazardous, with severe injuries and even deaths being common. Knights in their quest for glory and wealth put their lives on the line with every charge. Royal hunting too carries real risk, as tragically demonstrated by Mary of Burgundy, whose fatal fall from her horse at just 25 years old highlights the ever-present danger even for the most privileged. These are not games in the modern sense. They are activities where life and limb are routinely jeopardized, making every victory a testament to survival as much as skill. Martyrdom as a power consequence is a concept you grasp through the story of Thomas Becket. His murder, a direct result of his clash with King Henry II, transforms him into a revered martyr, and his tomb quickly becomes a major pilgrimage site. This event strikingly demonstrates how even death, particularly a politically charged one, can become a powerful symbolic act within the struggle for control. It ironically strengthens the cause it was meant to suppress, turning a victim into a potent symbol of resistance against royal overreach. You see how such a death can galvanise popular opinion and establish a lasting legacy far more impactful than the individual life that was lost. Political violence and royal downfall serve as grim reminders that even for those at the very pinnacle of power, life is precarious. You hear of barons executed for treason, their severed heads displayed as chilling warnings to others. You recall the horrifying fate of Edward II deposed and brutally murdered in a dungeon. These stories underscore the brutal realities of power. Those who wield it live in constant danger, and perceived disloyalty or political miscalculation can lead to a swift, often gruesome end. The dazzling tournaments and lavish feasts you realise are merely the glittering surface of a world where deadly power games are constantly being played. Diplomatic fallout from competitive pride extends the consequences of personal honour onto the international stage. Intense rivalry at tournaments such as the physical clash between Prince Edward III and the Count of Chaolong could result in lasting diplomatic tensions and strained relations between nations. These mock battles, you understand, have very real-world consequences, proving that the pursuit of personal and national honour in these events is no trivial matter. A perceived slight in the lists could easily ignite a wider conflict, illustrating the deep personal and political stakes involved for the powerful. Finally, public humiliation as a form of social control is a potent if less lethal tool. The public shaming of nobles, whether through the physical force of a prince throwing a count into the mud, or through engineered dives in a joust to protect another's dignity, serves as a powerful means to assert dominance and maintain the hierarchical social order. Such acts are not just personal indignities, they are public lessons, visual reminders of who holds power and who must defer. These moments, whether brutally direct or subtly choreographed, underscore the raw, often unforgiving mechanisms by which medieval society polices its own, ensuring everyone understands their designated role and the very real consequences of transgressing it. Now, against the constant pressure of power control and the pervasive shadow of death, you clearly see seeds of discontent and peasant resilience, demonstrating how human ingenuity always carves out moments of joy even amidst oppression. It's a testament to the stubborn, unyielding nature of the human spirit. Carnival as a steam valve for social tensions is perhaps the clearest example of this resilience. The sanctioned satire and social inversion of Carnival, with its boy bishops giving squeaky-voiced homilies and lords of misrule issuing saucy edict, provides a crucial outlet. It's a steam valve for relieving the intense pressures built up within the rigid feudal hierarchy, allowing temporary harmless mockery of authority. You witness how for a few days the world turns upside down. Peasants can playfully mock their lords, the young can command the old, and the rules of propriety are loosened. This isn't full-blown rebellion, but a controlled, almost therapeutic release that helps to prevent deeper unrest by acknowledging and temporarily indulging popular grievances. It's an ingenious social mechanism. This permissible irreverence leads to poking fun at the mighty. Carnival and the Feast of Fools explicitly allow commoners to poke fun at the mighty with ribald songs and satirical skits. Imagine the catharsis of hearing a familiar, perhaps tyrannical lord or a pompous clergyman lampooned in a public square. The laughter that erupts isn't just amusement. It's a shared expression of defiance, a moment of collective power, where the ordinary can, with sanctioned impunity, turn the tables on their betters. It forges a powerful sense of unity among the common folk, reminding them of their shared humanity and shared struggles even in the face of immense power disparities. These brief moments of shared jest are vital for maintaining morale and social cohesion. You understand the profound importance of laughter as a healing balm. Even amidst the sacrilegious humour sometimes found in the earnest but often clumsy performances of mystery plays, from angels with chicken feathers to actors with fake beards getting stuck, you feel a powerful cleansing release. This laughter, often unintentional, provided a healing balm for lives that could often be nasty, brutish and short. In a world defined by relentless labour, disease and violence, the simple act of shared merriment is profoundly therapeutic. It offers a momentary escape from anxiety, a chance to momentarily forget the hardships and simply exist in a state of joy. You feel the tension leave your body, the stress of daily survival receding with each peal of laughter. It's a testament to humanity's inherent need for joy, even when life offers so little of it. Indeed, these resilience and joy in adversity are palpable at every festival and fair. These gatherings are a vital reminder of the resilience and joy of the human spirit. They offer precious moments of happiness and connection, even in the face of great adversity, serving as a testament to the enduring human need for fun. You leave these events with a renewed spirit, a sense of belonging, and the strength to face another season of toil. They are not mere distractions. They are essential acts of reaffirmation, celebrating life and community in a world that often seems determined to diminish both. They act as psychological anchors, marking the passage of time with moments of shared celebration and communal identity. For the weary, these festivities offer a tantalizing escape from the often grim realities of life. They provide a chance to dream of brighter tomorrows and cope with unrelenting hardship. Imagine a peasant exhausted from a year of arduous labour, gazing at the glittering stalls of a fair, listening to the music or dancing with abandon around a maypole. In these fleeting moments, the weight of hunger, sickness, and endless toil lifts. You can, for a brief time, imagine a world free from want, a life filled with music and laughter, a future that holds more than just struggle. These aren't just idle fantasies. They're essential psychological tools providing hope and a reason to persevere. They are the small, cherished rays of light that pierce through the pervasive shadows of medieval existence, fueling the enduring human spirit with the promise of future joy, a silent, powerful rebellion against a world designed to keep you down. As the echoes of laughter from the fairgrounds fade and the last night's lance splinters in the joust, you're left with a profound understanding of how strange things people did for fun in medieval times were not merely diversions but essential threads woven into the fabric of survival. From the meticulous, deadly art of falconry to the boisterous, sometimes grotesque satire of carnival, each activity speaks volumes about the human spirit's capacity to find joy, meaning and connection amidst a world often characterized by brutal realities. You've journeyed through a society defined by inescapable social hierarchy, where your place, whether at the Lord's high table or in the peasant's muddy field, dictated every aspect of your life, including your access to leisure. The core economy and resource management, firmly rooted in agrarian cycles, meant that every moment of fun was hard-won, often celebrated as a collective sigh of relief after arduous labour. And nature's relentless fury and universal threats, famine, plague, and constant danger underscored the preciousness of every fleeting moment of joy, making laughter not a luxury but a necessity, a defiant act against an unforgiving world. You've witnessed how power control and human response shaped entertainment itself. Monarchs orchestrated dazzling tournaments not just for sport but as strategic public relations coups, flaunting their wealth and consolidating their influence. Legal mechanisms attempted to curb dangerous pastimes like gambling and violent tournaments, yet human desires often found ways to circumvent or integrate these regulations, as seen in the regulated Gluck House, or the church's largely ignored bans. The shadow of death and honour loomed large, making every joust a high-stakes gamble, with life itself and every act of defiance, even humorous satire, a delicate balance of release and risk. But perhaps most powerfully you felt the pulse of peasant resilience and the seeds of discontent. Carnival's sanctioned satire and the poking fun at the mighty and mystery plays offered crucial steam valves for social tensions, allowing for a collective, if temporary, inversion of hierarchy. These moments of laughter as a healing balm were vital. They provided solace and connection, reminding you that even in a world often described as nasty, brutish and short, the human capacity for joy endured. Festivals and fairs were more than just fun. They were vital reminders of the resilience and joy of the human spirit, offering moments of happiness and connection even in the face of great adversity. These peculiar pastimes, from the strategic fall of a knight to the rolling of a hedgehog down a hill, from the elaborate spiced feasts to the simple shared bread in a tavern, were all integral to coping with the profound differences of medieval existence. They allowed people to dream, to connect, to laugh, and most importantly, to find light in the shadows. They remind you that while the challenges of the past were immense, the human heart's fundamental need for joy, for connection and for escape remains a timeless and universal truth, connecting your modern world to their ancient one in the most unexpected and enduring ways. The echoes of their strange laughter, their fierce determination to celebrate, still resonate, a gentle whisper through the centuries. As the final echoes of medieval merriment gently recede, allow your mind to slowly drift back to the quiet comfort of your own space. You've journeyed through a world where life was undeniably stark, where every pleasure was hard-won against a backdrop of ceaseless labour, pervasive disease, and rigid hierarchy. It was a time when the spectacle of a joust or the simple warmth of a communal feast offered not just entertainment, but a vital lifeline, a testament to the resilient human spirit's refusal to be crushed by adversity. Now let the images of bustling fairs, of knights in gleaming armour, of jesters with their calculated wit softly dissolve. Feel the soft embrace of your own bed, the stillness of the air around you, a stark contrast to the smoky taverns and the mud-laden fields of centuries past. You're in a time of unprecedented comfort and safety, far removed from the daily struggle for survival that defined medieval existence. There's no need to listen for the distant clang of swords, no fear of famine, no worry of a plague sweeping through your quiet haven. Let your breathing deepen, your muscles relax, releasing any lingering thoughts of ancient hardships. The weight of history so rich and complex is now settling, transforming into a gentle, calming hum. You've witnessed humanity's enduring capacity for finding light, laughter and connection, even in the strangest of ways, and that truth timeless and comforting is yours to keep. As the final whispers of the past fade into the night, allow yourself to surrender to the peaceful stillness that surrounds you. May your dreams be as tranquil as the quietest medieval night, undisturbed by the world's ancient clamour.